Episode 2, Revenant, is right around the corner. Every episode resets and refreshes the engrams in your inventory. That includes Vanguard, Crucible, and Gambit, if for some reason you have Gambit engrams. So today we're going to run through a list of every weapon that you might want to grab from each of those vendors, and make sure you spend those engrams before episode 2 rolls around. Especially if you have a prestige in each of these playlists, that's going to give you a chance for extra perks, and you don't want to let that go to waste. So let's get right into it. Starting off with the Legacy tab in Vanguard, we've got Horror's Least. Horror's Least is a great PvP pulse rifle. Rapid fires are in a pretty good place, and it's got some great trait combinations. You got like Perpetual Motion in the first column, you got Kill Clip as well in the second. I believe you have Heating Up in the first column as well. They're just some really strong trait combinations, and this thing feels great in general anyways. The sight picture is really clear, target acquisition feels really clean, pretty high aim assist as you can see there. Really good pulse rifle. If you enjoy PvP at all, really good pickup. Second is Wendigo, and next season grenade launchers are definitely going to be the damage meta. I have a video coming out soon that's going to be featuring Wendigo among other grenade launchers as well. You got auto-loading holster, explosive light, I know there's Cascade Point in the second column as well. I believe there's also Field Prep in the first column for increased reserves and faster reload when crouching. Grenade launchers are going to be really good next season. If you have a lot of engrams, probably worth seeing if you can get a good roll there. Next up is Buzzard. It's kinetic, not bad for PvE. You got traits on there like kinetic tremors, but adaptives are really good in PvP. I believe you got options like Perpetual Motion on there. Just a really fantastic sidearm. Sight picture, again, very clear. It just feels easier to land headshots with this thing than other weapons in general. Also useful for prismatic builds. Kinetic tremors really contributes a lot to prismatic energy, and seeing as it's kinetic, it's going to be contributing to both light and dark for your transcendence meter. So I like this gun. It can definitely fit in the right builds, and if you're a sidearm enthusiast at all, this thing's pretty nice in both PvP and PvE. Next one for Vanguard is Origin Story. Big fan of precision frame auto rifles in PvP, sometimes in PvE as well, but it's got a lot of decent trait combos that could work for builds. It's a kinetic as well, so it works well for prismatic stuff, but you got like Strategist, Pugilist, Demolitionist in the first column, all the ability regen stuff. Kinetic tremors in the second. You got a bunch of damage options as well. You know, pretty solid all-around auto rifle, especially if you're a little bit newer to the game. For PvP, I think 450s are in a great spot as well. They're pretty easy to use. They're just good range, pretty easy to control. Some of my favorite autos in the game are 450s. Shout out Firefright. If you have Firefright, that thing is so good. But yeah, Origin Story, it only costs 1 engram as well. No additional cost to focus, no glimmer there either, so really cheap. And if you have a bunch of prestige resets, you can potentially get a lot of traits on a single gun. Pretty cool. Last up for Vanguard, and any of the ones not in the Legacy tab can also be enhanced, so that's pretty great. So just keep that in mind moving forward. Prolonged Engagement, a lightweight frame stasis SMG. Stasis is also a huge focus of the new artifact, so I would definitely recommend picking up one of these. You got a Headstone in the second column. I believe you got Feeding Frenzy in the first, so that's a pretty solid combo right out the gate. I believe there's also Subsistence in the first column. It's just good to have stasis weapons, or, you know, anytime the artifact is featuring a certain element, it's really helpful to have good weapons in that element. Prolonged Engagement, while lightweight frame SMGs aren't the most popular pick in PvE anymore, they're still legit. They're still pretty fun to use. All right, moving on over to Shacks and PvP. First up in the Legacy tab, I would pick up the Keening. Again, adaptive sidearms and Crucible, pretty good. Really good kill time, pretty flexible, decent range, easy to control. And it's got some good traits. You got Moving Target for consistency. I know there's Slideways, that just got a buff. I think it got the cooldown removed, so that makes Slideways a little bit more viable. I know there's some other traits that I'm definitely forgetting on the Keening right now, but this has been a popular pick for a long time. I mean, Season of the Chosen that's from Beyond Light 4 years ago, so it's been popular ever since then. Great weapon, really accessible. Then you got Better Devils. Again, this is the newest PvP gun from Shacks, so it only costs 1 engram to focus. Again, if you have multiple prestige, you can get up to 6 traits on a single gun. So that's really great if you want to try and get like a PvP and PvE roll all in one. Better Devils has some good traits for both for sure. I know like Reconstruction and Threadling for PvE would be a great combo. And then I think you got traits like Perpetual Motion and Moving Target. PvP, that would be pretty nice for consistency. A lot of options there. After that, Unending Tempest is definitely worth a pickup. I have been tormented by this thing in Crucible more than once. It kind of replaced the Immortal. After the Immortal got slapped down about a year and a half ago, Unending Tempest, I feel like kind of took its place. It's not really as bad as the Immortal was, but it's a really good PvP SMG. It's also enhanceable now, which is sort of new-ish. It's got good range, it's got good traits. I mean, I just pulled up all the traits here. First column, you got Perpetual Motion, Killing Wind, Moving Target, Gut Shot Straight, Enlightened Action, Dynamic Sway Reduction. That's all just in the first column. Then you got Tap the Trigger, Rangefinder, Fragile Focus, Headstone. Just a lot of really good traits on this thing. Really good PvP SMG. But since Stasis is definitely a focus of the new artifact, probably pretty good in PvE too. So Unending Tempest is definitely a little bit higher priority, I would say. Last one for PvP is going to be Riptide. Did get nerfed a little bit recently, semi-recently with Chill Clip. I think it requires 3 shots now to freeze a target, but still, auto-loading holster, Chill Clip, Lead from Gold, Chill Clip, those are great options. Just really good as an overall utility weapon. Slowing deals with overload champs, freezing and then shattering deals with unstoppable champs. So like one legendary gun can deal with 2 champs right out the gate. Really good gun, great stasis synergy, and that's again going to be a focus of the artifact. So I think Riptide's going to be a really popular pick this season for sure. And that's just a great roll. And auto-loading and Chill Clip just keeps the mag topped off. Make sure you're on the top half of the mag and you can just pull it out whenever you need it and just kind of freeze something or slow it down. Great damage rotation weapon as well. Rapid fire fusions aren't too bad for DPS, but there's a mod in the artifact this season that allows stasis debuff targets to take more damage against arc and void abilities. So that's going to be great for like Twilight Arsenal Titans or Gathering Storm Hunters. Just fire off a shot of Chill Clip, slow them down, and then you're dealing extra damage with your supers. So really easy synergy there. I think people are going to get a lot of use out of Riptide this season for sure. All right, moving on to Gambit now. There's a couple weapons here if you're willing to suffer through Gambit. We got Breakneck. I just like Breakneck as just kind of a general PvE kinetic that I can use for prismatic builds. I'm a huge sucker for kinetic tremors, so any legendary that is tolerable to use and has kinetic tremors is great. You can also enhance it so you don't have to fire as many shots before kinetic tremors. Procs, that's great. I believe it has keep away and kinetic tremors. That's a great combination for high range, good accuracy, and increased reload speed as well on top of the extra damage. Really like that for the Transcendence energy you get from it. So Breakneck is a pretty good pick. Again, it's a 450 auto. Usable in PvP. I don't remember that it has great PvP traits. I know it has Subsistence and Onslaught as well. That's pretty fun for PvE. Maybe you can make use of Onslaught as well in PvP, but really clear sight picture, 450 auto, just easy to control. I like it a lot. Moving on to Hush. Hush has some interesting roles as well. Archer's Gambit is back. I know this thing has Incandescent. There's also Archer's Tempo, I believe. So if you're a fan of precision frame bows, definitely worth spending your engrams on this if you don't have a good solar one. There's also Night Watch, very simple, classic. I mean, really old. Scout Rifle hasn't been updated since Season of Arrivals, but the perks are still pretty relevant. If you need a good kinetic scout rifle and you don't feel like playing Onslaught for Hung Jury, or you don't feel like getting Hung Jury for the 8th time, Night Watch is good. I like it a lot. It's very manageable, kind of a cool weapon design, and perks are still relevant even in 2024. Last one for Gambit is Herod C. Now, high impact frames are kind of a sleeper pick for me in PvP. They have great range. I think they're pretty stable for the most part if you can get the right traits. Kill time is okay, but there just seems to be a decent amount of forgiveness in terms of like its usability. Maybe not necessarily in times of TTK, but they have a lot of range and they feel pretty accurate. Bungie, as of episode 2, is buffing them for PvP. I believe they're getting a little bit more damage, so there's a little bit more forgiveness there. You can land another body shot or 2 and still land an optimal time to kill. So they were good already, and then getting buffed in episode 2 seems like a pretty good deal. I know there's like Perpetual Motion and Moving Target. That's a role that I have that's very stable, reliable. And I'm going to pull up the traits here because I'm totally blanking out on what they are. Again, you have like 15 traits per column here. It's ridiculous on any... That's another reason you don't want to waste any of these engrams, is that you don't get a ton of them, and the amount of traits in each column is ridiculous. So you kind of need to make the most of it. But it has some really good PvP traits. So yeah, Perpetual Motion, Moving Target, that's going to be a very high consistency roll. I like that. Some high impact autos can feel a little bit jumpy. 33 stability is not the best. So, you know, maybe spec into stability a little bit more with that. There's also Heating Up. That's going to help. Dynamic Sway Reduction. You got Unrelenting. Tap the Trigger. Tap the Trigger is great on high impacts because they fire so slowly anyways that the first few shots being super accurate and stable is like half the kill. So definitely recommend Tap the Trigger on that thing. But yeah, Dynamic Sway and Tap the Trigger is a fantastic combination. Heating Up is It's still underrated, I feel like. And that's probably about it. But yeah, Heresy, it's getting a buff along with all other high impact frame autos for PvP. And I think it might be a kind of a sleeper pick. It's also stasis. You could use it in PvE. You got like 4th times the charm and Vorpal weapon if you kind of want just like a workhorse general damage weapon. Got multi-kill clip, frenzy, one for all. So if you want to use a high impact auto that's stasis for the new artifact, this might be a decent pick as well. So that is it for the 3 ritual activities. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it helps you. You only got a couple days left to spend those engrams, but you know, you don't want to let them go to waste if they build up over time. And if you have everything, great. But if you don't, I hope this helped and was a little bit of a reminder of, you know, what's out there. Sometimes I get to the end of the season and I'm kind of like, what do I even spend these on? So definitely looking forward to episode 2. Garden of Salvation is getting new craftable weapons, which I'm really excited about. I love Garden. My Twitch chat knows that. I really like Garden way too much. So I'm going to be doing a loot guide on Garden of Salvation. Then I'm also going to be doing a loot guide on the seasonal stuff. And I've got a couple other videos planned as well. So keep an eye out for those. Definitely subscribe. It means a lot to me. I really appreciate it. Just appreciate you watching as well. Leave a like. Also helps in the algorithm. And if you need a small community to hang out with, there's also the Discord. Feel free to stop in there. I've got a link in the description, as well as Twitch. I'm done advertising, but you know, stop by on Twitch sometime. I'll be streaming the release night of episode 2, so come check that out, hang out. It'll be a good time. But anyways, that's all for today. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you guys next time.